Test, 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 test.
Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
I've got everything set up except I have nothing really to put the ambience thing on because like the window is kind of at like kind of waist height, but there's no like nothing for me to put it on for it to like reach over and out. Do you have any idea what I should do? Oh yeah, I could tape it. You're right. Yeah, yeah. I can put on the ledge and tape it. Yeah, it will be a little sketchy, but I think it should be fine well on tape. Yeah, I mean it's plugged in as well, so if it fell, it would just angle. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Is everything else is fine? Is the audio alright? I've been testing; they're all working. I'm talking to the ambience right now. Yeah, all right. Just call me or text me if you need anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Avenger Park this Saturday, the 23rd of May. It's Avondale today taking on Alamein here in round 14 of the Senol NPLW Victoria Women's Competition. Last time these two faced each other, it was a 1-0 win for Alamein at Dorothy Laver West Reserve. It was Savannah Anastasopoulos on that day that scored that goal. Absent from today's squad. We'll go through the lineups today as Avondale's the home side. I will get Ellie Curlis to go through the Avondale lineup for us.
Yeah, I sure will. Great to be on, by the way, as well. So for Avondale, the starting 11 is number 1, Brooke Bennett. Number 4, Cameron Barrero. Number 5, Isabella Cardo. Number 6, Alana Bodges. Number 11, Alana Hartingher there. Number 9, Sloane Young. Number 10, Sydney Allen. Number 14, Usuka Miyata. Number 16, Betty Goad. Number 17, Jolkin Janitsaris. And number 23, Hannah Wilkinson.
Yes, and for the visitors, Alamein, in between the sticks today for them is number 70, Miranda Templeman. Number 2, Estelle Burgess, and the captain for today. Number 3, Chinatsu Shidara. Number 4, Anna Leokopoulos. Number 6, Dakota Theisen. Number 8, Nev Dustin. Number 9, Summer Lasky. Number 23, Emma Runnels. Number 11, Zoe Horton. Number 19, Priya Arcdeacon. And number 25, Harriet Laurie. Just the two changes for them from last week's game for Alamein. It's Anais Jasevsky and Jess Shilton, who are absent from the squad today, of course replaced by Priya Arcdeacon and Harriet Laurie. Of course, both sides pretty similar positions in the league table as well. We do have Alamein who sit in 6th place and Avondale who do sit in 9th. Just 3 points separate the two sides here. Of course, everyone's already played everyone once as well, so it's an opportunity now for each team to, I guess, feel each other out.
Well, I think this is the point in the season where this is where you need those wings. And for me, anyone that's listened to me over the last couple of weeks, I keep saying this is where you need to bank the wins in this point in the season. Otherwise, you're going to fall down the ladder. And I think this point in the season, I think for those teams who are in that log jam between, you know, Alamein down to Heidelberg, or even down to Preston even, like, it's wide open and it's so exciting.
Of course, we did see Preston Lions beat Heidelberg United last night, 3-0 in that game. Of course, a new signing for them as well was Fai Iarara from Melbourne Victory. Heidelberg United, a few more changes, and we're already underway here at Avenger Park, and Alamein in their red kicking to the left of their screen, and Avondale in the blue kicking to the right. And just confirmation as well there was it was Theo Jurek as well on the pitch for Avondale, playing in centre half position alongside Golkan Janitsaris, the captain of course, who's on the ball now. New signing, Theo Jurek, coming over from Heidelberg. And it's Sloane Young now who goes back to Golkan Zenitsaris, headed on by Leokopoulos over to Dustin. And then here's Shadara, who will send the ball long to Lasky, and Jurek manages to push it over to Emma Runnels, who goes over to Zoe Horton. And Emma Runnels is wearing the number 5 shirt today in place of Jess Shilton for some reason, but it's knocked on by Arcdeacon, who cuts backwards and manages to cross it all the way back to Miyata, and then out to Janitsaris and over to Betty Goad. As Barrero goes long. There's Shadara. Knocked on by Tyson, and then over to Dustin, and back over to Burgess. Lots of possession on the ball so far for Alamein.
Yeah, I'm just loving the patient ball from both teams. Both teams just filling it out at the moment.
It goes all the way back to Jurek. We'll have Summer Lasky chasing her. Back to Janitsaris. And it's a Sloane Young now. Of course, Avondale have really struggled to score this year, mainly. Top goal scorer this season is Sloan Young, 8. We do know that, of course, Addison Steiner was their leading Talers woman, I guess you could say, for them, scoring 60 goals last year as Avondale sent it all the way through, and it will be a
Free kick to Alamein, it looks
I
like.
think it will be a free kick.
I think one player, the last time I did Avondale was against Burundjara a couple of weeks ago, and the one thing I loved was the way that Hannah Wilkinson got involved. And for me, like, Avondale do need that help. They just got to find ways to get in front of the ball.
They do, of course. 8 goals to a name this season. Hannah Wilkinson, number 23, has spent the last 3 seasons at Melbourne City, but here wearing the very similar blue of Avondale, as Camberero will take this throw. And knock it on to Miata. Back to Horton, and then here's Archdeacon, who will send along to Runnels and all the way back to Janet Cyrus now. Long to Laurie, headed on. And pushed on again by Sydney Allen. Over to Young now, who's got the ball and will cut around the first. And that needs to go all the way back to Jurek. Through to Allen now. And all the way back to Janet Cyrus.
I love this little connection between Allen, Janet Cyrus, and Sloan Young. And when they've been on, they've been tough to beat.
They have, as Dustin manages to, in my observation, commentating Alamein for the last couple of weeks, is their midfield duo, I guess you could say, of Dakota Theisen and Nev Dustin is really hard to break down. And I've noticed from my experience in games where they do shut down Nev Dustin, they do lose football matches. And you don't want her by herself in another park with all the space there, because we know the type of player that Nev Dustin is, of course.
I think first game for me for Alamein, I got very excited when we got appointed together. So that's been a good contest in the first 3 and a bit minutes so far.
Of course, as Hannah Wilkinson manages to just usher the ball all the way through. To throw in with Harriet Laurie now. Back to Archdeacon and then out for another throw. Summerlasky goes over to Archdeacon and then over the top to Wilkinson now, and Allen will slot the ball through to Young, and she's got a chance here to go 1-0 up early. Throws through to Templeman, who gets the free kick, but almost 1-0 to Avondale.
Yeah, that was lucky, and that was a good passage of play there by the goalkeeper for Alamein. Just down hurt at the moment, but gee, that was when you got to put your body on the line. That was it right there.
Yes, there was a little bit of communication midweek where a couple of players in this Alamein side were 50-50 going into this game. I did get a very late text message last night saying Miranda Templeman won't actually play today. Of course, we do know that she is on the pitch and starting in front of Kate Bean, of course, former young Matilda and Miranda Templeman. But 7 clean sheets this year as well for Alamein. They've always struggled with conceding goals in previous years, and they've really shored up their defence with Miranda Templeman in the 6.
Well, as they always say, you always want a good goalkeeper that can have, apply that pressure, that has good hands. And Ivan said this last week for Segatich. When you've got those strong hands, that's what you need, and that goes a long way to winning games.
It does, as Anna-Leokopoulos manages to send the ball over to Runnels, and Horton over to Janet Cyrus's head. Back to Jurek, and then over to Theisen, who manages to get the ball over to Horton. And here's Dustin with the turn and finds Burgess. Again, Burgess, who will knock the ball on to Runnels and wide to Horton, and looks like it's keeping the ball in is Aska Miata. And then back out. Of course, just the one goalkeeper that they did sign in that transfer window last season was Miranda Templeman. Decided to stay on this season. They are yet to, I guess, make a signing of an A-League player. And this, of course, the window does shut tomorrow, but
No audio. It's very quiet. That's very, very, very quiet.
Yeah, that's what I got told by.
you don't have audio levels on there.
I do. I think hers is fine, but it says yours is
I can take it for now. So here come Alamein here, just working it through their back third here. And Avondale just looking to build up this pressure here. So as Alamein go through the middle here. Allen picks it off. Alamein get it back here. Long ball down the line here into the front third here. And quite a few numbers around for Avondale and building that pressure, which is great to see. Great pick-off ball there by Go there. And here come Avondale, Go pushing down. Finds Wilkinson. Wilkinson, great block there. By Alamein, Wilkinson regains ball. Young! Sloan Young gets the scoring going for Avondale.
That's brilliant football there by Avondale. It was a great link up there by Hannah Wilkinson and Sloan Young, but it's 1-0 to the team in the blue. And
I had to take, well, so we're having a few technical issues, but I had to take that and got a little bit too excited there, but so Sloan Young getting the scoring going for Avondale. So it's 1-0 here to Avondale. So apologies in advance for the technical issues. We'll try and sort that out as soon as possible. So Avondale just working it through one-on-one here. Great little duel here. Young wins that one. Gets the ball off Laurie there. And Avondale looking dangerous again. Picks that ball off there. And just think right now, Alamein have got to be a bit patient here. As Atkinson there. Great pick off there by Janet Saris. Miata. Back to
Zaccardo there.
Yeah,
He goes
Zaccardo.
over to Janet Saris and then back over to
Bennett
Brooke
there.
Bennett in goal. Let's find Zaccardo once again. Over to Janet Saris.
So Janet Saris on the left to. So Allen here with the ball now. Great pick off there by Barrero. Loses her footing that one. Allen and Reynolds with a heavy collision. It'll be an Avondale free kick. Fingers crossed Allen's okay because she just took a heavy hit on the deck. And she's back on her feet now, which is great to see. Sydney Allen. But that was a great duel there by Reynolds and Allen. So Janet Saris goes down the line here. There's an empty space here. So be a throw in for Alamein here.
Looks like it will be Laurie to take this one. And goes over to top of Archdeacon, over to Miata. Back to Janet Saris, and then over to Accardo, former Melbourne City player. Then finds Allen over to Barrero now. And then Sydney Allen finds Janet Saris, who go long over to Young now. Chance for a cross now by Young, who slots the ball over to Hannah Wilkinson. It will be a corner now.
I actually got so excited that time. Wilkinson was in great positioning, and unfortunate not to get the last passage of play there to end that end product. But Avondale again looking to threaten here with the corner kick.
Looks like it will be Canberra to take this one. Of course, spent majority of her career at Heidelberg United. It's first season at Avondale. And will look to take the corner. Ball sent in. It's near post and cleared by Shidara again, and out for another corner. And it will be Barrero once again. Crossed in over the top of everyone, and Hannah Wilkinson chases, but goes out for a Miranda Templeman goal kick.
Yeah, just a little overshot that one, but I'm loving the movement here for Alamein. They're certainly threatening right now in their front third, and Alamein just look a little bit disjointed at the moment, but I'm sure as the game goes on, as we're 13 minutes in, that they'll surely settle into the game.
And Timberwin will just take her time to get us restarted, and Leokopoulos will take this one. It's long by Leokopoulos. Headed on by Miata, and Dustin behind her, and then Thyssen, who kicks it on to Goad, and over to Allen, who finds Barrero out wide, and will look to cross the ball all the way through, but it's picked up by Boges, and here's Horton now with driving. Cuts around and doesn't manage to get around Haska Miata. She's sitting very defensively. She did have a bit of a progressive role in that Heidelberg side when she made that team of the year, but sitting a bit deeper than usual in this Avondale side. Just the 3 goals to her name this season as well. Of course, won that 2024 championship and 2025 premiership with Heidelberg alongside Canberra. But goes all the way back to Bennett now.
And I think throughout the season, I'm loving how Miata's been growing into the game. She's certainly that defensive player, but she knows when to impact. As Goad, short ball to Wilkinson, and here come Avondale, and that will be an offside call there. Just a little bit too far there, but as the season's gone by, I love the role that Miata's been playing.
Yeah, it looked like a very close call for that offside. It was through by herself if that one didn't come through. It very close, of course, the Alana Georgiev, who is the AR on that side, will have a better view from us, but there's a player now on the floor. It looks like Janet Saris is next to her, rather, but it's Isabella Ricardo. Seems to having a bit of a head injury. Of course, 13 games in the A-League Women's over her A-League career. Of course, won back-to-back premierships with them as well. Did spend last season as well in that off-season at Bulleen Lions. Had quite a role to play in their finals berth, I guess you could say, but didn't, of course, go all the way. It was Box Hill who ended up winning the whole thing thanks to Karina Rossi, essentially, but it was a great game that day and really shocked everyone that Box Hill won that game against a high-flying Heidelberg United.
I mean, as I said, I know throughout the season, it's my first season, fully following their NPLW, but I think the one thing we'll just go through the ladder while we've got a bit of a break in play. But the one thing that I've loved throughout this whole season, it feels like snakes and ladders right now. Like this whole season, like, you know, you've got Box Hill and Bulleen right now in the top two, and you know, Essendon, Boroondara, you know, not too far behind, as well as South Melbourne. And don't discount Alamein and Melbourne Victory, but it's certainly, you know, you just can't predict on any given day who's going to win the game, because or any given day, because it's so tight right now.
Of course, you did say you can't predict the games, but we top of the leagues, Box Hill do sit 2-0 down against Essendon Royals. Of course, Box Hill have had quite an overhaul in A-League girls join them this week. They've got the likes of Rihanna Polishina, Laura Pickett, and then the likes of Gabby Simpson's also there. Holly Murray from Adelaide United joining Essendon Royals was pretty much a similar squad, but it's 2-0 in that game over there. South Melbourne do lead Bentley Greens 1-0, and Melbourne Victory are still 0-0 against the Bulleen Lions. Just 18 minutes into that game as well. Of course, they've lost their most prolific goal scorer, Melbourne Victory, in Fee Eira, but moved over to Preston Lions, who didn't win that game against Heidelberg United. Looks like Ocato's back on her feet now, thankfully, but of course, moving on to, I guess, other moves around the ground. We've got the likes of Preston Lions, of course, did get their first win since the window did open. They, of course, have lost their mainstay captain in Georgia Henderson, who's moved over to Keilor Park, and the likes of Avondale United. We do know that, of course, they do need probably a little bit of magic in this side to get something out of this season. Of course, they're not really going down. They're not really guaranteed to go down or anything, but the likes of Taylor Ray comes to mind when you think of players that should be signing into the NPL Victoria Women's. Of course, nothing confirmed as of yet, but we've heard some whispers around the grounds of these potential moves that are coming with these Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City girls. Of course, they've got 30 days as well before they can play from their final game.
And it makes sense as well. It's almost like with other sports, you know, it's been such a tight A-League season as well, and what a season that was as well. And for those girls that are coming in, I think it'll be important just to take it easy, reset, and then go again. So, yeah, that Essendon and Box Hill result so far is really surprising me. That was, well, I was a bit excited there. But as we are back underway here at Avenger Park, and great to see, you know, the physios and doctors just taking those protocols, making sure that Isabella Carter is okay. And it's good to see her back on her feet now.
Of course, she still is off the pitch, but she will be re-entering the field of play soon as Shadara chases Hannah Wilkinson and goes over to be Boges. Goes over to the middle, and that's Harriet Laurie playing a very midfield role instead of right back, but Priya Arcdeacon sits in that right back role as place as Sydney Allen goes all the way wide to find Sloane Young, but again pushes out for a throw, and it'll be Arcdeacon with Leokopoulos calling the ball there. Goes backwards to Leokopoulos over to Dustin. It's Thyssen, and then out for Sloane Young throw, who will pass it over to Theo Jurek. Back over to Bogas. Here's Lasky. Finds Horton. Goes over to Runnels now. And here's Dustin, who will, you would assume, find Burgess, and she does. Back over to Dustin, to Burgess now, who will look up and go to Horton and deflect it off Camberero's face, and it will be another head injury.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of a falcon off that one. She's slow to get up, and yeah, that was... definitely hurt at this rate, and it's been first couple of minutes a little bit slow to start off with, but right now you can certainly feel the tempo's gone up a notch at this rate. As got the Avondale's team doctor or physio back onto the ground here. But just with the signings that you just read out, Ross, like there's been quite a few surprises, not just Box Hill or Melbourne Victory, but across the trade that we've just had. It's been really exciting to see some of these big names, and once we get some of these A-League players in, it's going to certainly spice up the season for sure.
Of course, we did just see that Camberero head injury. Of course, looking to Avondale's bench, we do have Arzia Claridge, Elise Kellens-Knight, Daniela Galuccio, Cedar Howie, Olivia Lazarevska, and Kayla Zorkos. And then for Alamein, of course, Jordan Toms-Wedge, Matilda Laurie, Mila Ralph, Shatara Kashimi, Amelia Fode, and Kate Bean, if they do choose to go to the bench. And that's now Dustin, who will find Burgess. And a bit of a physical battle there in the midfield, but Sydney Allen gets over her and finds Wilkinson. And then back to Accardo, over to Wilkinson. Two Melbourne City stalwarts linking up there, as potentially a few more come through. When the window shuts tomorrow, we will, of course, get more confirmation. No new signings either for Alamein, and Bentley Green, we are hearing they're having a massive overhaul over there. Of course, someone going the other way is Georgia Giuliani, heading over to Melbourne City until August, when she heads over to America to play NCAA Division 2 for her. Of course, former Bayside United player, moving on to Bentley Greens and then beyond. But still yet to see who will come through for those Melbourne City players, and of course Melbourne Victory. We did see Ava Breedis make the pitch for Bulleen Lions, last week, as Sydney Allen goes to Miyata. Slides the through ball through to Archdeacon, but pushes it over to Shadara and then back to Templeman. And then back to Burgess now, who will find Dustin. And it's a long ball by Dustin. Samalaski's behind, but Accardo heads it on to Janetsaris, and now back to Bennett. Finds Jurek. Of course, former Heidelberg player herself as well. And then to Young, over to Janetsaris, who just stumbles and manages to find Jurek again. And he's over the top by Bogas and through to Templeman. And it's not much happened since that Avondale early goal.
Yeah, not much has happened. You feel like right now both teams are spraying the ball, or long balls are going everywhere, and there's not much of that final product, so that end pass is there. So I feel like for me, both teams have just got to slow it down, go through their dynamic, but I think also right now Avondale, you think, would settle the tempo, and here comes Wilkinson. Now this could be another score in the Shea. She's great defence there by Alamein there. And it'll be an Avondale throw-in as Lasky just went over the sideline there. It'll be an Avondale throw-in here. So Wilkinson, short ball, finds Miyata. Through the middle here to Accardo, who's got Horton on her. Barrero, short ball, tried to find Go, couldn't quite. Here comes Alamein now in their front third, and Barrero tried to pick that ball off there. Miyata does. And great defensive pressure here by Avondale as Allen, short ball to Young. On the left side now to Goad. Short ball now to Bodgers. And Alamein, great defensive pressure there in that passage of play there.
And there's Dustin who goes long over to Lasky in behind, who will drive around Golkan Janitsaris, but offside is the call for the American. And around the grounds as well, we've just seen one of South Melbourne's newer signings, Clancy Westaway, has just scored to make it 2-0 against the Bentley Greens. Melbourne victory still 0-0 against Bulleen Lions, and Essendon Royals are up 3-0 against Box Hill. Of course, you could assume the goal scorer was Kelly McGority, but we'll keep you updated with that. Of course, 14 goals to a name this season in 14 games, but there's Sloane Young, who's got 8 to a name herself, and over to Runnels, who finds Burgess, and then slots it on to Horton, but Janitsaris intercepts and finds Wilkinson over to Goad, and long by Burgess, who slides in and goes back to Barrero. Of course, these two sides have only played each other once in their history. It was that 1-0 win for Alamein in round 1 at Dorothy Laver West Reserve. Of course, we did say, Savannah Anastasopoulos with that goal. Of course, absent from the squad, but if they want to keep that 100% record win streak going, Alamein, they need to score 2 in this game. As Horton gets in behind, and Akato gets in front of her and ushers the ball to Brooke Bennett. Hasn't had too much to deal with today, Brooke Bennett.
No, she hasn't, but I've loved her impact throughout the whole season. When she's, the one game that I recall, against Boroondara or Box Hill, she's been a game changer with her saves, and I love what Brooke Bennett does. Shout out to her as well, I will give that, but when she's been on, and here comes Miata, goes through the box, and couldn't find, just hits the left post there. Gee, that was a dangerous ball there for Avondale. But, yeah, just back to Brooke Bennett. When Avondale have needed that game saver, she's been on, and a shout out to her.
Of course, the former VPL Goalkeeper of the Year on 2 occasions. Of course, signed to Avondale from Ringwood City. Won the VPL Goalkeeper of the Year then, and last year with Avondale as they went undefeated in the VPL in the league, scoring over 200 goals, as Betty Goad is out wide now with Burgess in front of it, and Burgess does well there and manages to still get on by Betty Goad, who's pulled back, but it will be play on to the edge of the box, knocked on by Burgess and through to Miranda Templeman, who will again go to Leakopoulos. Signed last season, mid-season, this time of the year from Bentley Greens. And then really played pretty much every single game there as a centre midfielder. But it's Sloane Young who tries to find Wilkinson. And again picked up by the current Golden Glove winner in Miranda Templeman. 7 clean sheets to a name this season in, of course, 14 games. Did miss a couple of games as well with Kate Bean and Liv Cowan playing. But again, there's Miyata who knocks it on to Burgess, over to Betty Goad, and then out for another throw with Camberero.
Yeah, Templeman's been she's been incredible. Her form has been sensational throughout the season, and as I was just talking about with Brooke Bennett, shout out to Templeman who's done a great job. So Avondale just working it through their back third here. Bennett, short ball to Janet Saris. She goes back to the middle to Bennett. Finds Akato here, slips over there. She's back on her feet, which is good to see Akato. Looking to get out of trouble here. Intercept ball there. Here comes Alamein in their front third. Dustin. Loving the defensive pressure here for Avondale. And just before, I'm loving just keeping an eye. I'm loving Miata's work rate right now. She's been, in front of the ball. She's making it really hard right now for her player.
Of course, it'll be Nev Dustin to take this corner. Of course, that was Emma Runnels out wide. You'd assume would be in the centre of the park role. She's been drifted out wide as Zoe Horton swapped a bit of role with her, but Nev Dustin will take this corner now. And the ball sent in over the top of everyone, headed down by Shadara, and Archdeacon's there, but out for another corner, and it's a goal line clearance from Brooke Bennett. This time it'll be, again, Dustin to take this one. Loves a set piece, Nev Dustin. Has got quite a few assists from set piece and goals from set piece. Did score an amazing free kick a few weeks ago. But, of course, did spend some time in the NCAA Division 1 as well. Second season at the club, Nev Dustin. The ball sent in. It's very deep. Headed on by Emma Runnels and then out for another corner.
So we'll take two here for this corner kick. And Neve Dustin will take this corner ball here. See if they can find someone. Do they go short? Who do they go to in this box here? We're about to find out. So Dustin inside the box here. Great header there by Reynolds. They're not out of trouble here, Avondale, as they look to get it out. And it'll be Alamein who will get this throw in here. Pick ball off there by Miata. Great defensive pressure there again. To Barrero. Short ball to Ricardo now. On the left side now to Janet Saris. Short ball now to Sydney Allen, who had Thyssen on her. Janet Saris. Long ball down the line there. Trying to find Bodgers that time. And again, great pressure there by Alamein. Shadira now. Goes across. Finds Lasky. Long ball down the line. Janet Saris with the header. Great work there. Sloane Young now. Short ball to Allen. Great pick-off ball there by Alamein. Reynolds, great pick-off there. A little bit congested, that passage of play there. Goad tries to find that free kick. Play will continue. Cross on the right side now. Here come Alamein. Great ball movement. Great ball movement there. Great block there by Barrero. Certainly going around the grounds. It is just getting intriguing between Essendon and Box Hill. 3-0 in favour of Essendon right now. 4-0. So surely one of the upsets coming up. We're about to find out. But Goad. Great pick off there by Alamein. Long ball inside the box there. Great little duel. And be an Avondale kick here. So we're 35 minutes into this first half. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the action wherever you're watching, here in Melbourne or overseas. Those that just missed it, Avondale with a 1-0 lead. It's been a fun game to watch, actually. As the ball stays in play there, Young, great little duel between Young and Reynolds. Great block there. And it'll be Alamein's throw in here.
Yes, just 10 minutes to go of this game here, round 14 of the Senol NPL Women's, and it's headed on by Runnels and back to Boges, over to Wilkinson, who will find her goal-scoring counterpart in Sloane Young, and over to Ocado now, over to Barrero, and then Petey Goad, who pushes the ball out for an Alamein throw. It'll be Burgess to take this one. Back to Shadara. He goes over to Leokopoulos. Here's Archdeacon. Goes to Tyson, over to Dustin, and then over to Archdeacon again, who just managed to go down the line to Summerlasky, who sends the ball out of play. Of course, their Alamein's goal scorers are spread far and wide. They've got Nev Dustin with 4, Summerlasky with 4, and Zoe Horton with 3 for the year. Of course, a loss last week against Bulleen Lions, which was pretty much had most of control of that game as well. It was Summerlasky who opened the scoring that day, and Tiffany Artis with a double. It's, of course, 4-0 at Essendon Royals now. It's half-time in that game at South Melbourne, 2-0 to them. And Melbourne victory, a drawing still to Bulleen Lions. A star-studded Bulleen Lions, of course, the likes of the Senol NPL Victoria women's leading goal scorer and Maya Markovsky leading the line there. The ball sent almost in by Tiffany Iliadis once again, but it's Jurek who finds Young, and over to Wilkinson, who will have a chance to go wide to Betty Goad. Here's Goad on the outside around Burgess. Goad with a chance for a cross. She does. Cleared by Leokopoulos, and again by Dustin. Knocked on by Jurek and into the arms of Miranda Templeman. Back to Leokopoulos. Over to Horton, who tries a back heel and goes to Allen now. And he's Goad. To Wilkinson. Back over to Miata, who chips it along down the line to Petey Goad. Again, Burgess in front of her as Goad crossed the ball in. Headed on by Wilkinson into the arms of Miranda Templeman. And again, no clean sheet today, but just the one goal they've conceded. As Ocado pushes it all the way back to Bennett. Just 8 minutes to go. Of course, just looking at stats as well, Nev Dustin's played every single minute of this Alamein campaign. And of course, we did mention that 1-0 win against Spring Hill. She was kind of shut out of the game, but managed to get a goal. And pushed on by Anna Leokopoulos out. And it will be Tia Jurek's throw-in. Of course, we've also mentioned, of course, Sloane Young, the league's equal 4th best performer this season, according to SofaScore. And, of course, Avondale's best performer. And you've got the likes of Volkan Janetsaris, Aska Miata, and Sydney Allen in your side. It's quite a feat by the NCAA Division 1 former player, as Sydney Allen knocks the ball all the way long to Betty Goad, who's offside apparently, and again looked very close.
Yeah, can I say that was a great passage of play there by Allen. She read that like a book to Goad, and just unfortunate Goad went offside there, but otherwise that would have been a beautiful passage of play, and surely one of the play of the day there. But Alamein now have a chance as Janetsaris intercepts that ball there. Great block there by Alamein. Great ball there by Dyson there. But, gee, that would have been a play to watch that right there off the play by Sydney Allen.
Of course, spent some time at Alamein, did Sydney Allen, 2-time MVP over there, as well as a certified strength and conditioning coach. She did spend some time there in the junior systems in some strength and conditioning. Of course, did spend some time last season with Bentley Greens as well. 45 goals with Burundara Eagles as well in 2018, won the Golden Boot that year, and I think it was when they were in the VPL, but of course, just the one goal to a name this season. Did finish last season as Bentley Green's top goal scorer, playing in a bit of an advanced forward role. And of course, Bentley Green didn't score many. Of course, one more goal than Delaney Kenny, who's now at Payside Argonauts, but Dustin goes backwards to Burgess and then long to Runnels' head, and again dispossessed by Miata through to Wilkinson, who knocks it on, but it will be chased down by Leokopoulos. Long to Barrero. And Akado's chasing, but under pressure by Laurie. And then pushed on by Bennett. Over the top of Leokopoulos, and Shadara's there to clean that one up. And of course, it's been that back four for Alamein, that Burgess, Shadara, Leokopoulos, and Shilton that haven't conceded many goals this year. Of course, haven't scored many, but of course, absent today is Jess Shilton. But they've been very reliable back four for Alamein, and of course, they did have a history of conceding quite a few goals in their NPL Women's campaign. They haven't made the finals either since 2021 and missed out ever so just last year by 3 points to miss out that final spot. But looking potentially good for them this year. Of course, the top 6 make finals this year for the NPL Women's, and they could make it.
Yeah, plenty of games left, but as I said earlier, I'm really loving the defensive unit here for Alamein. They're making it hard right now. You know, the likes of, you know, even Cindy Allen, even Miyata, you know, even though she did score before, but right now they're making it hard for Avondale in terms of spacing, and it's fun to watch as here comes an opportunity now with Goad right on her. But I'm loving as Goad intercepts that one. I'll get back to my point in a moment. Hannah Wilkinson gets that ball back here. Wilkinson couldn't quite, but I am loving this passage of play here for Alamein.
Here's Samalaski now, who turns a marker and sends the ball into Emma Runnels. Again over the top to Horton, who's got Miata behind her and pushes that out to play. And the fourth official, Zamzam Kassab, has indicated a minimum of 4 minutes. Added on, of course, Zamzam Kassab herself, former Avondale player in the youth system. Of course, most of this Avondale side as well did spend some time in the Calder United Youth Academy. Of course, been technically absorbed by Avondale and using their facilities, of course, and their name. But here's Priya Archdeacon, who matches to just push the ball on to Golkan Janitsaris. Headed on by Shadara. And here's Leokopoulos now, who will just go back to Templeman. And then over to Shadara. And it's half-time in that game between Melbourne Victory and Bulleen Lions. It's half-time, of course, in that South Melbourne game, and half-time in that Essendon Royals game. 4-0 to them. As Sloane Young has a chance to strike. She gets intercepted, but Miyata from distance! And that's just over the bar by Asuka Miyata.
Sorry, my reaction, that looked on target in that shot, and just unlucky it went a bit too wide there. Apologies about the reaction, but I got so excited for that passage of play there.
Of course, Asuka Miyata loves to hit him from long range. Her other goal this season has been quite a sight, but still 1-0 here to the home side, Avondale, by way of course, Sloane Young, but assisted by Hannah Wilkinson as well. Of course, they're battling for the golden boot here at Avondale, but Archdeacon goes to Dustin, and then out to Miata, who will just throw the game down in the middle and gets it back from Sloane Young, who thought the through ball through to Wilkinson, and she's offside again. Managed to almost split the defenders in two, but knocked on by Thyssen to Shadara. Just 2 minutes left here in this first half, as Leokopoulos will try to get something out of the last couple of minutes. And goes along. Here's Horden chasing over the top of Ricardo. Cleared by Jurek. On by Runnels now, who go backwards to Lasky. Strike from Reigns by Lasky over the bar once again.
Yeah, that was a good shot on target there. Just unlucky to go over the crossbar. And Alamein they look dangerous right now throughout this, the final stages of this first half, but also stoppage time. You feel right now they're bound to score, and that was unfortunate, that moment there.
Of course, we did mention as well, Alamein are without Anais Jasevsky out wide and Jess Shilton in the back line. They do have Amelia Fode, Satara Kashimi, Mila Ralph, Matilda Laurie, all on the bench. Of course, it's been Anais Jasevsky who usually plays on that right-hand side, and Harriet Laurie rather, playing on that side. Right now as Burgess finds herself in space to Lasky, who will go from range again and into the arms of Brooke Bennett, and captain taking things into her own hand in Estelle Burgess, but not long left either here. It's the stop clock has stopped here at Avenger Park, but Barrero will still send along regardless and out for a throw, and that's half time here at Avenger Park. It's 1-0 to the home side, Avondale, and by way of Sloane Long. I've been Ross Papadakis. Ellie, what have you thought of the first half?
Yeah, it's been exciting. Slow start, both teams finding their way, but, most of that dominance would go to Avondale. They had some great looks, and I think for Alamein, that back half of that first half, they certainly, they found that, that possession, that momentum. So it's been an entertaining game so far, and looking forward to seeing how this second half, what this second half brings.
Well, we'll be back for some more Senol NPL women's action in just 15 minutes' time. I've been Ross Papadakis. I've been joined by Ellie Curlis, and we'll see you in 15 minutes' time.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3.
And just about underway here for the second half of the Avondale versing Alamein. Just tuning in now. It's 1-0 by way of Sloane Young, and the changes just come on as well. And Matilda Laurie replaces her twin sister in Harriet Laurie. Number 18, of course, did spend some time at Bulleen and FV Academy. But will come on as well. Of course, number 18, you can see her there. And that. And no further changes have been made. And back underway as Sukumiata goes all the way long, and Archdeacon knocks the ball all the way through to Samalaski, but goes out for another throw in Jurek to Young. And back again by Jurek. And then here's Archdeacon, who will take this throw, and back over to Dustin, and then out for another Avondale throw. And Wilkinson goes wide to Barrero. It's a long ball in by Barrero. Cleared by Shidara. Cleared again by Burgess. Knocked out by Sydney Allen. It's a missed kick there a little bit by Leokopoulos, and Miata's through and taken down, but it will be play on as Leokopoulos just fakes it and goes long to Dustin, and cleared once again by Sydney Allen. It's already a very intense opening 90 seconds of this clash.
Yeah, sure has. I was going to pose a question here. What do you think Alamein's got to do here to, I guess, get back into the contest here? What do you want to see here?
I think we've seen in previous situations where it's games where Nev Dustin is isolated as the games that they dominate, and I think she's been really taken out of this game by Avondale, and I'm assuming that would be their game plan going into this game, but of course the likes of looking onto their bench, they don't have that attacking firepower as they would have hoped for without, I guess, the likes of Anastasopoulos and Anastasevsky, as Barrero sends the ball all the way through, and it's a strike along the floor and in by Sloane Young. And she gets her second for the day, and it's 2-0 to Avondale very early.
Yeah, and how about the positioning there by Sloane Young all by herself, and that finish was up to perfection right there. Beautiful finish there by Sloane Young.
It was a great cross in the box, of course, by Cameron Barrero, and Sloane Young now with 10 goals to her name this season. And mountain to climb for Alamein. And there's play we just mentioned, Nev Dustin, who's gone long and brought over now to Zoe Horton, back by Burgess, and she's got Goad in front of her, and goes backwards to Shidara, back out to Burgess now, down the line to Horton, over to Miata, through to Wilkinson, and then through now to Templeman, and they haven't conceded 2 goals many times this season. Alamein, they of course went on that 5-game unbeaten run before that Bulleen Lions game, but as mentioned, the mountain to climb. But now a free kick for Alamein, and it'll be Dustin to take. Keilor Park also leads Spring Eels 2-1 in that game. And of course, 4-0 to Essendon Royals against Box Hill United. 0-0 between Victory and Bulleen Lions. And South Melbourne lead 2-0 against the Bentley Greens. As Alamein almost go all the way through, but back to Brooke Bennett in between the sticks. And over to Barrero, got the assist for that second goal. And here's Boges, who finds Sloane Young all the way through again for a hat-trick. Sloane Young, and that's a great save by Templeman. It's not over yet, as Boges gets dispossessed by Thyssen through to Isabella Ricardo.
loving the way that just the last passages of play, Avondale really pressing up right now, and it's certainly made it hard for the Alamein forwards. As Janet Saris goes across to Goad. Goad short ball to Allen, or tried to find Allen, unlucky that time. And right now, you just think right now, Alamein have, as they're having a look to reset here in the back third, they're certainly being forced to go wide as that passes off. Regains possession here. Here comes an opportunity here. And Ocado doing a beautiful job and forcing not a free kick, but a Avondale kick in here. And again, the pressure that Avondale were bringing, they've brought it the first 5 minutes of the second half.
Of course, it was substitute Matilda Laurie who got that goal, and it's 5-0 now in that Essendon Royals game. Kelly McGority did get a goal to her name. Of course, as things stand, that would mean Essendon Royals would sit atop the Senol NPL women's table. As a cross is sent in, picked up by Brooke Bennett. Of course, today's result as well would mean that Avondale would leapfrog Alamein and on goal difference. Equal points, of course. And that would mean Essendon Royals on 29 points, Bulleen Lions on 29, Box Hill on 28, South Melbourne on 27. Of course, with Burundara's game in hand tomorrow as they take on Melbourne City. A chance to go third in the table as Sloane Young goes over to Miata and Barrero over to Beatty Goad, who does well to turn into Boges. Now Barrero, who will find her once again. Over to Goad. Still Goad, who can drive in front of Burgess, but manages to turn her and go down the line to Boges. Still Boges, who's brought down, and it will be a free kick for Avondale. And Shinatsu Shidara had to make that tackle, I think.
Yeah, maybe certainly you could hear on the bench the cries for the free kick, and great work there by Bodgie. She kept going in that passage of play, and yeah, what I like to say, work ethic. That was incredible, and that's the 1%ers there. That any kid watching at home, watch how Bodges plays, because that's how you win the ball back right there.
And it will be Sydney Allen with the free kick. Leaping effort into the feet of Sloane Young, but Emma Runnels on the ball now, and she goes all the way long down the line. And Matilda Laurie there goes all the way through to Brooke Bennett. And then long by Jurek. Here's Archdeacon over to Thyssen. And then over again to Horton. And here's Barrero now, who will find Goad. And then back over to Barrero to Wilkinson now, who has Burgess in front of her, but decides to go back to Goad. And then manages to find Wilkinson once again. Here's Miata now, though, who will... And the leaping effort all the way over to Jurek, but it's Archdeacon in front of her. And now Sydney Allen through to Sloane Young, but all the way through to Templeman. And just looking at stats as well on my phone, it does look like Alamein did go into this game with the second least goals conceded and one of the fewer goals scored in 16, of course. Just the 12 goals conceded prior to this game. They've got 2 conceding today, of course. 15 goals in 14 games conceding. Not the worst record in the world, but you don't want to concede 2 in one game, do you?
No, you don't. I mean, obviously, as we normally say, if you play your best defensive game, anything can happen. As Alamein, great block there by Janet Saris. Alamein regain possession here. They'll go outside blocks. Great work there by Miata there. Here comes Go now. Trying to get around Boges at that time. So, Lasky, great work there by Bodges there. And Barrero, which I'm loving her second half right now. She certainly brought some flair in this second half. And just loving the way that Barrero's playing so far this game.
Yeah, it's a player with quite a bit of, I guess, accolades behind her. There's a bit of a shock move when she moved here to Avondale from Heidelberg in that starting left-back role over there. Right-back role, rather. Now, of course, left-back here at Avondale, but did spend some time at St. Houston State over in the college system, as well as some time at Perth Soccer Club and Sacred Heart College. But, of course, did win the championship with Heidelberg United last season as Matilda Laurie gets dispossessed by Sydney Allen. Back to Miata, her former teammate. Over to Janet Saris now, of course. Don't need to talk about the quality Janet Saris has as she sends a long ball through to Boges. Of course, it's a 36-year-old Golcon Janet Saris who captains this side. And Sydney Allen sends the ball all the way through. And again, Miranda Templeman, who seeds Shadara, intercepted by Miata, and then Betty Goad, who will just turn and find Cambarero to Miata now. Finds Janet Saris. Of course, the Turkish international as well, Golkan Janet Saris. Because Greek last name is, of course, married into the Greek family, but Sloane Young now, who will go down the line by herself. Sloane Young, strike again by Wilkinson, and off the back of Chinatsu Shidara and out for a corner.
I know Sloane Young couldn't get that end product, but gee, I'm loving her energy in this game. I think it's something I wasn't questioning, but I'm like, where's this been this most of this time? But to her credit, she's brought a lot of flair in this attacking third for Avondale today. And yeah, let's see if Avondale can capitalise here. But just want to give her a little compliment there because I'm loving her game today, Sloane Young.
Of course, 2 goals to her name this game already, 10 for the season. And it will be Cambarero who will take the corner, sail into the arms of Miranda Templeman. Of course, slow the game down, but just 12 played in this first half as Leokopoulos goes out to Archdeacon. Traditionally not a left back either. Archdeacon, usually a bit of a attacking midfielder type of role, but does sit in left back today, of course, in place of Jess Shilton. But Janet Saros goes to Allen, but it's Dustin who tries to get in front of Janet Saros. Back to Sydney Allen, over to Miata, who's scanning, but has Emma Runnels in front of her. Goes all the way wide to Goad. Get around Burgess. Over to Wilkinson. Taken off, and it's a very interesting free kick call there for Avondale, but you would assume would be Sydney Allen to take.
Yeah, I don't think there was much in that. I would have loved to see the play continue that time, but here's another chance here for Avondale to, I keep applying on that scoreboard pressure. So Allen will take the free kick here. Who does she look for? There's a whole pack of players. Wilkinson, great header. Numbers around here for Alamein, great. That was a great defensive passage of play there for Alamein. Just shutting down, the likes of Wilkinson, who look to be that main threat, but great play there for Alamein.
Of course, another corner now off the boot of Shinatsu Shidara, and it could be Kane Barrero to take this one. It goes short to Sydney Allen with a cross in, cleared by Emma Runnels, but Boger's on the edge of the box. But here's Horton now, who's pulled back, and it will be a yellow card and a free kick for Alamein. It was Theodora Jurek with the yellow card. The late challenge as well, as that counter attack was on for Zoe Horton. It'll be Analiakopoulos now with this free kick. 7-0 at Essendon Royals as well. Headed on by Barrero. Down by Boges. Across by her and goes to Jurek. And it looks like over there it was 2 goals for McGority, 3 for Jenkins and 1 for Bronte Peel.
We've seen quite a few blowouts, but a game like that between Essendon and Box Hill, you'd think right now that's going to be one of the upsets for the season right there. But I have to admit, I'm a bit shell-shocked now. We've got our war of games here, or mega war we can call it, and I'm a bit stunned at the moment. I don't know about you, Ross.
Of course, Box Hill, the grand final winners of this campaign. Last campaign, rather. It was, of course, that 3-1 win in the final against Heidelberg United. Pretty much the Karina Rossi show, they now call it. But, of course, the double that day of nowhere. But driving by Priya Archdeacon, and it's taken down, but it will be a goal kick. Brooke Bennett to take, of course. Potentially looking for the Tara Kashimi, Mila Ralph, Jordan Tom's Wedge, and of course Amelia Fode. Of course, the one change already been made. It was Matilda Laurie replacing her sister in Harriet Laurie. But Avondale as well have Asia Claridge, Daniela Galuccio, Sheila Howie, and Olivia Lazarevska. Of course, Kayla Zarkos, the goalkeeper as well, sits on the bench, as well as at least Kellen Knight. Of course, needs no introduction, but heads it on to Archdeacon, who will drive herself, push into the middle of the park to Laurie, but cleared once again by Janitsaris through the legs of Shidara. He's backwards to Leakopoulos now. Long by Leakopoulos to find Dustin, who's pushing on herself, and again out for another throw.
Just again, Alamein making it really hard for Avondale, making it really tough right now for Alamein's forwards, and see how Alamein come out of this throw in here. Outside the box here, threatening to go inside, and just unlucky that Bodgers couldn't keep that ball there. And heavy contest there. Be an Avondale free kick there as we are into just past the 63rd minute markers. Got a bit of a scoreboard. I think the scoreboard may have crashed on us here, Ross, but that's okay. We'll keep powering on here. So, Sydney Allen. I do want to give credit to Sydney Allen. I know her pretty well, and I'm loving it's good to see her play a great role so far. Janet Saris, short ball that time. Tried to find Slow Young that time, and Alamein doing a great job on that wing there. In the middle here, down the line inside the forward third. Barrero on her heels. Barrero's got a great contest on Horton on that time. But yeah, Alamein corner here. Quick ball there. Dustin. Great ball there by Leopopoulos there. Great block there by Janitsaris. Reynolds. Across to Thyssen there. Thyssen, great block there by Goad. And Avondale not out of trouble yet, but that was some great, I want to say cagey, but that again, defensive pressure was great to watch there for Avondale.
Yeah, I think they're unlucky not to score there, but they've got a lot of attacking firepower up front. And of course, the likes of Nev Dustin, who's progressed a little bit further up the field, with Dakota Thyssen sitting a little bit deeper. And of course, no more changes have been made either, but everyone up pretty much at Alamein as they try to get something out of this game. Just not long to go either, really. Of course, 65 minutes on the clock. Heads over to the head of Janitsaris, over to Jurek. And then over to Sloane Young now. Bullying Lions have gone 1-0 up as well against Melbourne Victory. Still 2-0 in South Melbourne game and 7-0 to Essendon Royals. As Sydney Allen goes to Sloane Young, who turns Laurie, gets around Dustin, and here's Dustin now with the chance to strike from distance and over the bar. And she's a player that really is made of moments, Nev Dustin, but that one doesn't quite come into fruition.
I really loved that passage of play there by Dustin. Unfortunate not to get the finish and the ball going over the crossbar, but you could say that's a first, proper threatening in attack there by Alamein. And again, another player that I've loved work rate by Dustin.
Yeah, she's really a player that dictates the tempo of this Alamein side, and when she's on her game, the Alamein seem to be winning football matches, and she hasn't played bad today. She's just been really locked out of this game as Miata and Sydney Allen really lock her down, but it'll be Barrero now with the throw. Ball sent on to Burgess's head. Through to Shidara. Over to Burgess now. And taken off the ball by Goad. And substitution getting ready for Alamein. For Avondale, rather. And potentially one for Alamein as well, as Burgess will take the ball down the line. Headed on by Runnels. Sent down the line by Dustin. Through by Runnels once again. Cleared long by Brooke Bennett. And that's a bit of a miss kick by Shidara. Around the keeper is Betty Goad, who goes to the open goal and scores. That's 3-0 now to Avondale. And Betty Goad makes it 3.
And her teammates loved that goal there. Just the celebration and getting around Betty Goad. And the way that Goad got around a defender, no one there to help for Alamein. And beautiful finish there by Betty Goad to make it 3-0 for Alamein. Avondale.
Of course, changes getting ready now. Coming off is Alana Burgess, and coming on is Elise Kellens-Knight. Coming off the park for Alamein is Dakota Thyssen, and coming on is Mila Ralph. Of course, Mila Ralph, just 19 years of age, replacing that of Dakota Thyssen, playing in that similar position as well. And of course, Elise Kellens-Knight, over 115 clearances for the Matildas. And what a delight it is to see a real staple in the women's football just in our own backyard, really.
Oh, good to see her experience, coming through. And we know what Elise can do as a defender, but also just to bring bit of the energy in that defensive line for Avondale. But I do like this rotation. I feel like just inject some fresh legs here.
Of course, we did see as well on the camera, it was Estelle Bu just did have a little bit of a speaking to her head coach, John Kyrgios. Of course, some sort of change in tactics potentially. We do look like there's potentially two up top as well for this Alamein side. And going backwards and long. Of course, Betty Goad as well did begin her professional career with Melbourne Victory. It was her second for the season as well as some time at Melbourne City in their inaugural season, over to the US to play in the NCAA Double Division 1. Played in Europe for a little bit with SV Meppen in Germany, as well as Tenerife in Spain. Of course, a few appearances as well for the Matildas herself. And, of course, Elise Keller-Knight, as mentioned, needs no introduction. Of course, the 36-year-old takes the armband off Hakan Genesaris for the oldest player on this pitch. Of course, quite a young Avondale side as well that's really been moulded by a few departures as well out of that Avondale side. Of course, Liana Lamage was replaced by Isabella Ricardo in the back line when they did get promoted. And, of course, Addison Steiner, who did score over 60 goals last season, is now obviously playing at Bundoora United, and it will be a corner now for Alamein. Nev Dustin to take.
I just want to say, give a shout out to Elise, because she's still got it for the way that the way that she's gone for 36 years. I'm going to say 36 years on, because otherwise I'm probably getting in trouble saying the word old. But the way that she's going, Elise, she's still got it for sure.
It's a corner sent in, headed on by Emma Runnels, and it will be a goal kick. It will be Brooke Bennett. Long to Dustin. Cleared by Barrero. And here's Shadara now, who heads it backwards to Goad. And saw that combination link up as well for the third goal for Avondale, who now finds Elise Keller-Knight. And backwards to off Dustin and back to Goad and through to Miata. Keller-Knight over to Miata again, who will find some space and go herself, you would assume. Miata along the floor and into the arms of Miranda Templeman.
Yeah, it looks like Miata's gone down on the deck here. She's in quite some pain right here. The way that she tried to dodge off, it looks nasty. So I'm just hoping, I'm sure you'll agree, Ross, it's nothing serious, because they are going to call the trainer on. But I'm just hoping that's nothing serious, because the way that she dodged it looks nasty. So as both teams will regroup here. But right now, this second half definitely belongs to Avondale.
Yes, of course. And we did see a Aska Miata long ranger that didn't really have the Aska Miata taste to it, but she did go down after that shot. And look, I think they can probably do with subbing a few people off 3-0 up with just 15 minutes to go in this game. Of course, on the bench for them, there is still Asia Claridge, Daniela Galuccio, Cedar Howie, Olivia Lazarevska. So any of those names could come on for this Avondale side. Of course, also Kayla Zarkos in goal as well, that can come off the bench. And it looks like there will be another change coming on for Alamein. It's Takara Kashimi. Would come in the wing or left back for Priya Archdeacon. Of course, substitute getting ready now. And it will be Emma Runnels coming off for Kashimi. And it'll be Mila Ralph and Samalaski up top together. It's a bit of a two up top formation as Satara Kashimi moves out to left back, as I predicted. Of course, Afghani refugee is born in Pakistan, of course, but of course came to this country with her family all those years ago. Of course, also played for Mildura United, Barton United, and Heidelberg Youth Prospects, as Brooke Bennett keeps the ball at her feet.
And 21 years of age, so great to see her get some opportunity for the first time on the pitch this afternoon, as Bennett looks at the referee telling Bennett to get it out of that box, and they sure do, as Wilkinson Miata, which is good to see she's okay. Alamein do have the numbers around. So Horton getting that ball. Great block there by Accardo that time. The Alamein throw in here. And that pass, little overzealous there, going a bit wide there. And look, I know Alamein, like, there's still quite a bit some time left of this game as we enter the 76th minute in the second half. But I know Alamein will be disappointed, but they've got to finish this game strong here. They've just got to fight through this, because it looks like, you know, after that third goal was scored, their heads have been down. Or even after that second goal from Sloane Young, they've got to keep fighting here, Alamein.
Of course, they've got some Nike Cup action as well to look forward to in the coming weeks. They overcome Bundoora United as Zoe Horton just goes to the ground. Of course, Avondale did play midweek and lost to Heidelberg United, but Sydney Allen goes all the way long, and it'll be Templeman who cleans that ball up. Of course, the draw has been made. We'll get you a bit of a rundown of who's playing who a bit later in this game. But, of course, Alamein did defeat on VPL side Bundoora United 3-0 in that game, and had a week off to reset before this game, as Avondale would be midweek game against Heidelberg. They did lose, so no more games to do with for them. But here's Avondale as they progress on to Beatty Goad with the cross into the box, headed on by Sarah Kashimi. Here's Kellen Knight now, but pushed out of play by Archdeacon.
Yeah, right idea there by Beatty Goad, just a little bit wide on that kick there, and Avondale just working it through their front third here. Miyato. Short ball here to Accardo. Accardo! Oh! Just going to that right side of the post, but great. Oh, that was Sloane Young there. My apologies there. But great work there by Sloane Young. Just unfortunate not to get that finish there, but Sloane Young, what an afternoon she's had.
Of course, looking for her third goal of the evening, Sloane Young. Of course, goal in that first half and then a goal now. But it'll be Leokopoulos who manages to push the ball on to Samalaski, over to Dustin, who finds Zoe Horton out wide. Driving. And the cross ball in finds Sydney Allen, and goes out for another throw. And it will be a triple change coming on for Avondale, and Sydney Allen comes off in place of Daniele Galuccio, as well as Askumot Maita comes off for Asia Claridge, as well as Cedar Howie also comes on in place of Tia Juric. And it was Miata there instead of Sydney Allen, who was replaced. as we'll get underway with an Estelle Boo just kick into the middle of the park as Janitsaris clears to Kasimi. Over to Leakopoulos. Over now to Horton. And chance for a cross by Horton, and again deflected off Camberero.
Yeah, I was just about to say, for those substitutions for Avondale, great to see Claridge and Gulucho coming on, and great to see Alyssa Smith also coming on as well. Coming from Brunswick Juventus there. So great substitutions there for Avondale as they look to close this game out. So Allen, short ball to Cullen Knight, and Cullen Knight will run on there. She'll slow down and finds Goad. Unfortunate they're trying to find Smith and couldn't quite, but great work there by Avondale. As we enter the final stages of regulation here in this second half, Cullen Knight passes it to Smith. Great, Cullen Knight trying to find Smith, and that was great pressure there by Quizme there. Cullen Knight. Long ball in the front third here. Alamein getting some numbers around. They're building that pressure and just losing that footing along the sideline there. So Wilkinson finds Claridge that time. Janitsaris trying to kick that ball there down the line, and great block there by Alamein. Just go around the ground, see if we've got any more score updates for you. As the referee just sending that penalty where it needs to go. Barrero block there. Here come Alamein now in their front third. So Lasky finds Boris. Goes across to Horton there. Horton, great block there by Barrero. I feel like we've mentioned Barrero's name quite a few times, and again, just her great defensive work. So long ball inside the box then. Couldn't find anyone there. Great block there by Young. Long ball outside the box then. Bennett. Horton tried to get that ball there, and it'll be an Avondale kick here. So I'm just flicking through the next few games for these two teams. So Alamein have got Keilor Park next Saturday, and Avondale have got a big test against Bulleen. And you think, coming from this win this afternoon, that they'll take a lot of confidence against Bulleen next week.
So, of course, Bulleen to play a bit later today, I think it is, against Melbourne Victory. They are leading 1-0 against them, and it's full time at that Essendon Royals game as it ends 7-1. Nina Bacalo with that goal there for them. Of course, the other 7 goals by various other goal scorers of Essendon Royals. And looking ahead to some cup action as well, it's Avondale, Alamein who take on Craigieburn City, as well as Eltham Redbacks taking on Essendon Royals, Caroline Springs taking on Heidelberg United, Spring Hills in an all NPL clash against Bulleen Lions, and Preston Lions taking on Clifton Hill. As Alamein go the other way and find Dustin, who will knock the ball onwards to all the way out for a Brooke Bennett goal kick as well. Of course, another change coming on. It'll be Olivia Lazarevska replacing that of the goal scorer, Beatty Goad. Of course, Calder United Junior in Olivia Lazarevska, 17 years of age. She joins, of course, Arzia Claridge and Daniela Galuccio, Cedar Howie as well, who all came on. Former Calder Junior as well, Cedar Howie. Of course, Daniela Galuccio as well, former Heidelberg player alongside Camberero at Heidelberg. Championship winner as well in 2024. As Dustin sends a through ball through to Mila Ralph. Out wide again to Laurie. Crossed in by Laurie. Chance for a header. All the way through to Horton, who does get a foot to it, but will be a corner.
Both players just going for that ball, and great to see the referee just letting it go. Both players contesting for that. Great refereeing, by the way. And I've got to give a shout out as well to the referees this afternoon. They've done a great job in managing this game as well. So bit of a shout out there. We'll look to take this corner kick here. Can they get some sort of kick over Avondale, getting numbers around, and great pressure there again by Avondale. And here they come, Sydney Allen, long ball down the line, finds Cullen Knight. Cullen Knight, she's going to go by herself here. Cullen Knight finishes the goal there. And that is Avondale's fourth goal of the afternoon. Great finish then, great ball there by Sydney Allen.
Of course, it's Elise Cullen Knight with the goal. Her third for the season. Elise Cullen Knight, of course, former Matilda, Brisbane Roar player, as well as some time in Sweden as well. Of course, has attended 3 World Cups and 2 Olympics. And, of course, signed for Melbourne Victory. Did spend last season at Casey Comets as well. As another change comes on, it's Priya Arcdeacon being replaced by Jordan Tom's Wedge. Of course, a keen AFL player as well, Jordan Tom's Wedge. Spent some time in the VAFA for Richmond Central AFC.
I want to actually mention something, because I am working alongside the VAFA, and it's good to see, the likes of Tom's Wedge, coming across from, footy to a soccer background. So I want to give her a bit of a shout out, because it's awesome to see.
Of course, quite a physical player as well. Loves to really put her body on the line in those sort of tackles as well. So keep your eyes out for that. Of course, did spend last season at Ashburton United as well. Of course, in women's, not in men's, but is Daniela Galuccio now, who gets her pass intercepted by Burgess and then deflected off Daniela Galuccio as well, as a keen futsal player as well in her time. Spent some time at series futsal as well, and also quite a few teams over there, as Nev Dustin gets a shot deflected by Galuccio. Back to Burgess. And then long to Dustin now, who will go herself and just kicks it over the back fencing. And that's not long left either in this game. It's just the 2 minutes of regulation time plus whatever the referee decides. Of course, Senol referee today, Graham Moran, joined by Sebastian Stirl, Lana Georgievsky, and Michaela Kasab. Of course, this is Thames Wedge now, headed on by Cullen Knight, down by Burgess, and long. Here's Lasky chasing. Can she get something out of this game? She can't, and it goes through to Brooke Bennett, who will just slow it down. And that's ball sent long to down by Cedar, and long by Laurie, who's not quick enough to get there, but Arzia Claridge will take her time, the former South Melbourne junior. And of course, 8 years at that football club. It's 2-0 to Bulleen Lions as well against Melbourne Victory. Of course, first game without Santi Escudero, as Somalaski manages to get all the way through, and won't be a consolation goal this evening, but ball still in. Manages to find Mila Ralph, who crosses it herself and goes into the arms of Brooke Bennett.
Almost got that goal there. I got excited thinking that was going to go through the net, and I think for Alamein, it's not that they're not trying. It's just some of those shots have, it's unfortunate that I haven't gone through the net this afternoon. But Alamein, as I said, they'll continue to push on here as Horden outside the box here. Horden, great save there by Bennett. They're not out of play, not out of danger just yet. Or be a corner kick here for Alamein. And gee, that kick looks good there by Horden. So take a corner kick here. Do they find Horden again? Not quite. And beautiful hands and save there by Bennett. Referee telling Bennett to get that ball out of this quick as possible. As looks like we've entered stoppage time. Not sure how much, but Callan Knight now. Short ball to Wilkinson. Outside the box here. Callan Knight. Short ball to Callan Knight. Callan Knight. I'm going to call it dancing around here. Here comes an opportunity. Outside here. Lazareska. Great. That was a beautiful pass there. Just couldn't find Alamein being patient here. Callan Knight to Allen. Finds Smith now. Gets around Quizme. And beautiful pick off there by Quizme. So as we enter these final stages of this match, and certainly been a thrilling game this afternoon. Allen gets around a defender. Barrero. Short ball now to Galucci. Oh, excuse me, that wasn't Lazavreska. Beautiful footwork. And that was great. That was great defensive work by Alamein.
I think that's pretty much game over here at Avenger Park. Of course, 4-0 as well. And Melbourne Victory did lose that first game under technically new head coach Jeff Hopkins, but Corinne Barrero just makes sure it doesn't progress past the halfway line as Horton sends a ball down the line to Somalaski, who will have a chance to cross herself, and she does. It's cleared, but Dustin with the follow-up. Cleared again, and Mila Ralph just managing to look onwards to Howie, and then all the way to Kasimi, back to Leakopoulos, and out wide to Laurie, headed on by Lasky, and that's full time here at Avenger Park. It's 4-0 to the hosts, Avondale, against Alamein. It was 2 goals from Sloane Young that were the highlight of today's game, but was not expecting that result coming into Avenger Park today. Ellie, who's your, player of the match?
It's a tough one because I felt like there were so many different outstanding players. I loved Barrero and her defensive efforts. I can't go past Sloane Young, though. I loved the way that she had an impact from the start. She kicked those 2 goals and, just her work ethic. She just, she was all over the pitch today. So I'd say Sloane Young for me.
Of course, that's puts an end to this round 14 clash in the Senol NPL Women's. It was 4-0 to Avondale against Alamein, and both sides look on to next week for some more NPL action, of course. Don't go anywhere. There's more NPL action on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel across men's and women's. I've been Ross Papadakis. I've been joined today by Ellie Curlis, and we'll be back some more action very soon.